Andrew, who runs the world?
That's a very good question, and it's the first question. So let me answer the best I can. I believe that, of course, stating the obvious, powerful people run the world. I believe that powerful people try their very best to inflict their worldview and their goals and desires on the general populace. I think an easy way to think of it is that if you had a company, let's say you had a small company with 4 to 5 employees, you wouldn't hire any employee that didn't agree with you or didn't listen to you or didn't think like you. If you said, I want you to do this, and they said no, then you'd fire them, right? So if you could extrapolate that out and make it much larger and understand that these people have companies with millions of people or they own countries, they want people to comply. And the reason people have to comply with them is because these people own all the important resource, they own all the important land, they print the money, they own the media, they own the information, and they want to make sure that everybody agrees with them and complies with them. So they have tried very hard to damage the human psyche to the point where we are now completely empty and open for all forms of slave programming. They tried to convince us to ignore our own eyes and our own ears. They convince you to look at somebody and not be sure what gender they are, or to look around you and pretend you're in a pandemic when everything is fine. They convince you that your own brain is the enemy and that you must just only consume what you are told, because once they do that, once they can convince you to do something as crazy as ignore your own eyes, then they can simply slot in any USB stick of slave programming at random, whatever they want you to currently believe. Whether it's to believe this particular war is a good idea, or staying in your house and destroying your own business is a good idea, or gassing X amount of the population because they're a different religion is a good idea. That's how it works. So the people who are in charge of the world, whatever they want to do, they want to make sure everybody complies and listens to them, which is normal human nature. I'm not going to say that I'm any better than these people. I have 100 people who work for me, and I want them all to listen. So what's what happens when you get that big? And yeah, they don't want anybody's morals or religion or point of view standing in the way. They just want you to comply.
And who is they?
Well, that's a good question. Even if I knew all their names, I wouldn't say it here. But
why wouldn't you say it here?
I wouldn't say it here because they've already given me quite a few warnings. And I'm now at the point where I actually truly believe they're going to try and kill me.
So you've had messages from people trying to control you who you think would kill you?
I understand that you get 3 strikes in this game. Strike 1 is they try and shut you up and discredit you, which I've just been through. Strike 2 is they try and put you in jail for no reason. And strike 3 is they kill you. And one of my strikes is now gone, and I now firmly believe that they're going to try and kill me because they want me to be quiet and I'm not being quiet. And I have huge amounts of influence, which is what they're scared of. Because influence is what influence is what the world is about, right? If you send soldiers to a country to die, if you have literally a pitched battle on any country on the planet with tanks and planes and people are dying, that's only to control the ground so you can influence it. Like all of that is for influence. The media is for influence. What they tell people to believe, the mindsets they want you to adopt is so they can influence you. So when somebody like me comes along who has a mass amount of influence and is going in a direction they're contrary to, they sit and go, wow, this is a big problem from one person. And people have car accidents, people get robbed, people get shot. And that's the unfortunate reality of human nature. When you are a very large problem for very powerful people, they look for quick solutions, and the easiest solution is to kill me. And I think it's going to get there if I'm not extremely careful. So yeah, they dislike me not just because of what I say, because everybody knows what I say is true, but because of the huge amount of influence I have, and also the influence I have over the one demographic they're most fearful of, which are the young military-age males. They're the demographic that they need to keep under control the most, because those are the ones who will lead a revolution. Those are the ones who are naturally rebellious. Those are the ones you need to fight in your armies. Those are the ones you need to be the backbone of the slave force and build the roads for a shit wage. Those are the ones you need to sit in a sexless marriage and raise kids while they're depressed and turn up and pay their taxes anyway. That demographic is the backbone of the economy, of the defense of a nation. They're the number one enemy to the state if they decide to get in a big group together. Like, I don't want to be misogynistic, I've been accused of it enough, but if 100,000 women get in one place and complain, it's inconvenient. If 100,000 men get in one place and complain, it's a revolution. So they're scared of men free thinking, and they're scared of young men free thinking, And my fans are young military-age males, and I teach them to free think. So they look at me and they literally see me as a threat to the world, and that's why I think they're going to try and kill me.
So you said you now have to be careful, so what are you changing about what you're doing to not get killed?
I'm as perspicacious as I can be.
What does that mean?
Perspicacious is the ability to perceive, perceptive.
Right. Yeah.
I'm as perspicacious as I can be, but I'm also very understanding that if they want me, they're going to get me. It's an unfortunate reality. It's very easy to kill people, especially at their level, right? If they want me, they're going to get me. All I'm doing is trying to stay true to myself, stay true to God, because I truly believe this is a battle of good versus evil, and say the things I know need to be said in a way which is respectful enough and important enough so that the powers that be decide that it's okay if I stay alive. But if they decide the opposite, then there's very little I can do about it. And of course, I have a 10-man security team, everyone's armed, I carry a weapon, like, et cetera, et cetera. But if they want you, they're gonna get you. That's the game. So it's kind of, people often say to me, well then Andrew, why do you do this? Why do you talk? And I really believe we're living at a pivotal point in history. As AI gets better, as technology gets better, as they get more and more control over the money and the way people think and the way people move, I think that absolute slavery and tyranny is coming to the entire world. I think our children's children will live as slaves. I think the idea of social mobility will be absolutely and utterly destroyed. You're going to be born into a class, and that's where you're going to belong and stay. If you say the wrong thing or think the wrong thing, you're going to be punished for it. And I think this is one of our last chances to fight. And I think it's a battle of good versus evil. It's genuinely God against the demons. And I know that I'm on the side of God, and I'm a strictly religious person. And I couldn't live with myself if I didn't talk. And if God decides that I have to be martyred for that, then that's his decision. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you have mass amounts of influence. Why, and this is a question to you, if you had control of the world and you spent huge resource and energy on media machines to make people think a certain way, and somebody like me came along and made everybody not listen, would you like that person? Would you want that person to continue to talk? What if you tried to go to him and say, listen, shut up, we've warned you now, and he wouldn't shut up? What would you do?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'd probably try and collaborate with you. But they're not entrepreneurial at that level, are they?
But even if they try and collaborate with me, and that's actually an interesting topic because I've had strange offers, let's put it that way, I won't sell my soul. A lot of people do, right?
What does sell your soul mean?
It means that you sign a piece of paper and you shut up.
Right.
For X amount of money, or X amount of influence, whatever.
Yeah, by collaborate, I don't mean pay you and shut you up. I mean, let's do some business together. Let's change the world.
Completely, but the way they want to change the world is not the way I will ever allow them to try and change the world. I don't agree with what they're doing. I think what they're doing is anti-humanist. I think what they're doing is truly evil. And I won't sell my soul. They can't convince me to sit and tell the children what they want the children to believe. And normally when you sign a contract and you become a music star or a sports star or whatever, you shut up because you have sponsors, you have money, you can get canceled, etc. You have to be quiet. And I'm not in that position. So they try and get a degree of leverage over you. I've had very strange offers.
Can you share any of them?
I had phone numbers appear from nowhere, WhatsApp conversations. I'd have no idea who this person was or how they got my number, inviting me to very private parties and very private places. I had my own phone calls played back to me. I've answered the phone before, and it's a recording of me on the phone, and that's all it is.
Wow.
And I probably shouldn't say these things on YouTube, but this is the reality of the world I'm now living in. So, yeah, there's things that have happened that have been like, Andrew, you better shut up. But I don't think I'm actually saying anything that's detrimental, and if this is watched by anybody influential, all I'm trying to do is teach men to be true to themselves and be true to the power that's inside of them, God-given. And I think that the world will always be a better place in the end that way. And I'm also very understanding that societies to a degree need to be controlled. Obviously, you can't have every secret out there in the open. But I think that the direction that the West is going especially is truly evil, and I think that somebody needs to stand up and talk about it. I think the things they're trying to convince people to believe and do are not the way that God wanted us to do.